Woo! Hey everybody, happy Sunday. It is Kit here and welcome back to another crochet vlog. Womp womp. We are also going to be doing our, I don't know what part it is for the Chicago reading. This may be a little bit of a shorter video as well because I'm recording this voiceover at 12:50 in the morning. Yeah, it's just I haven't had a ton of time to record this week. Just no. So, um, but I'm gonna try to get a few pages in, and I don't know if I'm gonna do the crochet bit or not tonight as well. Like I'm considering it because I've got a little bit to do tomorrow. Oh boy. But I am doing this on a Friday night instead of a Saturday night, so there is that. But anyway, um, some info on the blanket, just real quick before we get officially started. I am on what I believe is the last quote unquote new skein. So I think I showed that old project that I'm obviously redoing. Um, and I'm on halfway through the last skein. So this is skein 6. This is skein number 6. And we're on row 35. So that's pretty awesome. And I'm going to have to frog that entire project. And that may be a video in of itself. I'm not looking forward to that. But then I will have a bunch of yarn that may or may not be a little... It's been worked like 2 or 3 times, so it might be a little bit pilly, and I really hope it isn't, but I'm going to use it, so we're going to finish this, y'all. I'm just a little worried that is going to look bad, so I really am hoping that it's not going to be that way. Also, it's kind of getting really big for my desk, so I'm going to figure something out because Otto is in Tennessee. Yeah, not sure what I'm going to use. I have a chair. It's not as good as Otto, but it will have to do. But yeah, so that's where we're at. Let's get into it. So we are going to be starting on the that night portion. So the second night that Winters, Green, and Cooper meet. They met on the first evening, then they had the next day, and now we're on that night. Again, this is like a 36-hour period. Um, and previously on, um, they were they finished the shopping, found out that the vampire that they are tailing is essentially the eye candy of some bigwig. There's a special guest coming. There is a whole ball. She has to learn how to like waltz and stuff, and like it's just a very strange relationship she has. Um, and Hale is her name. Hale. Thank you very much. Not Hell. Um, uh, she is very spontaneous. She decided to go to a nightclub, and the boys had barely enough time to get anything cobbled together so that they could go to this swanky nightclub that had like $100 surcharge and all this crap. And Winters just tried to go in the normal way, but she looks like a homeless hobo, so they kicked her out. And then she just appeared right beside them, and she smells like, you know, homeless and looks homeless, and it's a very swanky, expensive club. And they were trying to keep a low profile. They told her to go to the bathroom, wash her face. She did. She was very confused, but finally it seemed to like understand that really she doesn't look like she belongs. She went to the bathroom, got jumped by the vampire and her friends. Her jacket was stolen. A fire alarm went off. The boys had no idea what was going on in the bathroom. They found out later. Winters decided to try and get her jacket back. She was basically seeing red, and the boys stepped in to have her not do anything to the vampires. And then there was a kerfuffle. Um, she punched Kieran in the jaw. She broke her hand, basically. He didn't feel anything, but that was an attack. So he, uh, you know, put her in a headlock against the wall, covered her mouth, because, you know, potentially a witch, potentially a fae, who the hell knows, she could do magic. And she was able to basically, like, blast him off the wall, bench press both of them with a gutter she ripped off the wall, the apartment building with her mind. She bench pressed them with that. Cooper turned into a coyote, managed to get out from underneath the bench press of Doom, and bit her in the calf. That seemed to shake her out of it, and she was able to get the phone, gave it to them, and she seemed to have a lot more emotions than she's had before. And after some, like, you know, conversation, Kieran decided to basically take her. And she's like, "What the hell?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, I don't trust you as far as I can throw you, and I'd rather keep an eye on you. Besides, you may still be useful." So, yeah. Oh, and Cooper doesn't have clothes. So, he's basically butt naked, but he is wearing a coat. And he is basically playing it off to anybody who's looking like he is a drunk stripper. And Winters is walking with her eyes closed because she really does not want to see that. I love them. I love them. Okay, let's get into this. So, that night. The city lights were bright and dazzling against the light polluted night sky, Chicago slowly settling down by the time they got back to the men's rented apartment. It was a one-bedroom apartment just one street down from the Tronoy Suites Hotel, which is the hotel that is the vampire's headquarters. Just for a reminder. They had found it quickly on a website on the drive over to the city. The owner was away for a few weeks and wanted to make some extra cash. They had tipped rather nicely and would leave the small apartment just as they had found it. Maybe. The keys jingled merrily as Green unlocked the door, Cooper bringing up the rear with the still embarrassed Winters making up the middle. Green pulled her in after him, rolling his eyes at her still shut eyelids. Winters, you cannot see anything untoward. It's been covered this entire time. Covered is in Cooper's wiener. I am not an adult. I can see fine, Green. He rolled his eyes again before steering her toward the small, mussed-up fabric couch where he had slept the night before. With a light shove, she sat down, feeling her surroundings carefully with the good hand she had left. As he eyed her clearly broken hand, bloodied face, and darkened jeans from the calf bite, he spoke to Cooper. Go get dressed, clean yourself up, and bring the first aid kit. On it, boss. Cooper whistled tiredly, fighting a yawn. It was hard to believe they had only been here 24 hours ago. It felt like a lifetime ago that he had practically carried his half-dead Alpha into this apartment and dumped him on the couch, frantically calling their pack doc and triaging the gunshot wound. As he walked into the bedroom, he took one last look around the small place, wincing as he spied all of the bloodied bandages, forceps, gauze, and padding, even the ruined, nasty bullet, all over the floor. Yeah, he'd have to clean that up really well before they left. Green waited until Cooper left the room to address Winters. He's gone. You can open your eyes now. Despite his frustrations, he had to resist a grin as she cautiously unclenched one eye, peeking around furtively before opening them both fully, seeing her new environment before looking up at him. What? Her tone was defensive, her arm wrapping around her middle. Keep a straight face. Keep a straight face. Nothing. Distracting himself with his phone for a moment, he quickly emailed Cooper's blackmail to himself before calling up Dominic. Blackmail as in he got a couple of videos to have of Cooper doing the distracting stripper dance before calling up Dominic. He felt bad about waking him on a work night, especially at 2 a.m., but it was necessary. Behave? He pointedly stared at the small woman sitting on the couch. She said nothing, eyes unfocusing as she went into her head, a place all her own. Yes, Alpha? Dominic answered on the second ring, sleepiness permeating through the line. Green could hear his mate stir and sit up beside him. They had been sleeping. Guilt stirred in his chest, but it couldn't be helped. Is that offer of assistance still on the table? Fishing the pink phone out of his pocket, he eyed it. The lock screen was a gothic Hello Kitty, complete with vampire fangs and a childlike grin. Of course. Why wouldn't that be there? On the other end of the line, Green heard bedsheets rustling and a mattress squeaking under shifting weight. Of course. What can I do? Green's eyes flickered to Winter's bent head for a moment, eyeing her greasy, limp strands. We acquired one of the Vamp's smartphones and gained some new intel recently. Apparently, they have their own private servers and a data farm. The phone is supposedly hooked up to it. If we get you into that setup you had us bring, can you hack it? Dominic cleared his throat, yawning once. Yes, I can certainly give it my best shot, although there are no guarantees, Alpha. Relief hit Green's system like a much-needed breath of fresh air, rejuvenating his worn-out body. Finally. Something far more concrete than a phased word. Your best is enough, Dom. Thank you. Cooper opened the bedroom door, first throwing Green his dress shirt before tossing a first aid kit at the couch as he tugged another shirt on, walking out into the messy living room. Both men noticed Winter's flinch as the kit bounced off the couch and onto the floor. Green pointed at the woman, giving Cooper a nod. Oh, 1 minute. I'm really glad I'm rereading this. I'm questioning, leaving a comment for myself. Was it the dress shirt or was it the jacket? Because I thought it was the jacket, but it might have been the dress shirt. I don't know. Let's see. Cooper nodded back, and that was all Green needed to head to the kitchen bar, figuring things out with Dominic. All right, winners. Here's the first aid kit. Knock yourself out. Cooper decided to be nice, swooping down to pick up the box and place it on the messy coffee table in front of her slightly trembling knees. Winters did not move, which concerned him. She just stared, perplexed, at the first aid kit. Cooper waited, thought about it, waited some more, finally sighing when he saw her eyes were once again unfocused. And I'm going to add a Cooper in here, because it was he, but I'm doing a Cooper. Please, please tell me you know what a first aid kit is, or what first aid means. Surely, surely, she had to know that, right? Yes, I do. Her voice was low as she continued to hug herself, not moving towards the kit. Cooper nodded once, watching her for a moment. Great. That's great. Waiting for another moment. So, what's the problem? He had to wait for her eyes to unfocus before she responded to his question, looking utterly confused, with lost, innocent blue eyes gazing imploringly at him. Why do you want me to knock myself out with that little box? I mean, she gestured at it, grimacing. It is very lightweight, and I would have to strike myself very firmly in the back of the head to achieve such a feat. But then begs the question as to why you would wish me to do such a thing in the first place. Oh, there's a contraction, son of a biscuit eater. Hang on. Does that not defeat the purpose of first aid? At the kitchen bar, Green's conversation with Dominic ceased for a moment as he joined Cooper in staring at the confused woman. Green looked at Cooper. Cooper looked like he had swallowed a lemon as he looked at Green, and all in all, everyone in the room was the dictionary definition of confused. Cooper blinked once, giving a single, long, insufferable sigh, then cleared off a spot on the coffee table for him to sit. He noticed how she scooted away from him slightly, as if to give his long, gangly limbs some room. Winters, you don't get out much, do you? Her eyes darted all over his face as she tried to understand what he meant. I beg your pardon? He took a moment to get what he needed out of the first aid kit, deciding to just do it himself. It's an expression. Knock yourself out, break a leg. Have you never heard of them? An expression? He nodded as she gave a slight grimace, shaking her head. I see. No, I have not heard of those particular terms put like that. I can tend to myself. Thank you. He just nodded and put the kit beside her on the couch, but he did not move. It was fascinating to watch her in a way, like he was observing an alien in human disguise. But wasn't that what all Fae were in a way? He had been told many stories about them as a boy. Both he and Green had been warned away from them many, many times, and he knew it was for good reason, but he had never expected them to be so weird, inhuman, alien. He felt like a human scientist observing a captured alien under a microscope, just like in the movies. He shouldn't have been so excited by that thought, but the movie nerd in him absolutely was. Winters gave him a side glance for a moment, as if waiting for him to leave, but moved on soon after she realized he wasn't going to. She fumbled with the first aid box for a moment before managing to undo the clasps one-handed, rummaging around before she found the gauze and a bandage. She put aside the gauze, grabbed the bandage, and hoisted her injured leg up, propping her foot on the coffee table. After tugging the ruined jeans to bunch up around her knee, she used her left forearm to hold the end of the bandage on her leg. It was at this point that Cooper couldn't believe his eyes. Hold up there, Winters. Yes, shifter number one, she sighed, fumbling with the bandage as she tried to wrap it around the still oozing wound he had left on her calf. Where's the ointment? His fingers itched to take the bandage away, but he made no move to do so. Instead, he just pictured what their pack doctor's hives would look like if he was here and stifled the grin that followed. Oh, there would be no hives. Oh, there would just be grab, sit, fix. Oh, that's good. I forgot about this little part. Well, I didn't forget about it, but I forgot kind of how funny it was, at least to me. I don't know if it's funny to anybody else. Hmm? Ointment? Her attempts at a bandage were going poorly, but she did not stop trying. Yeah, ointment. You know, antibiotics for the open wound that is currently leaking. Sarcasm dripped off his tongue. Antibiotics. Musing, she pursed her lips and almost dropped the bandage roll. I do believe that is a human medicine, and therefore only human conditions need it. Sounds like something an alien would say. Well, we are on Earth, and you are bleeding red. Yes, we are, but unless you tell me you have some form of coyote disease, I believe I will be. Oh! One more fumble, and there went the bandage roll, tumbling away from the two as it rolled across the grit-covered floor. She sighed. Uh-huh. Cooper was up before she could even move, grasping the roll and taking charge. He tore off the bits that were now covered in the grit, tugging it from her weak grip. She watched him, bewildered. I believe you were about to say you will be fine. Because you will be, once I'm done. Okay, hang on, I need to make a little edit here. Okay. I'm just going to say across the grit-covered floor, leaving her with just the one end. Hopefully that's clear. I don't know. Yes, you probably can, but with a broken hand, this is just painful to watch. He got himself situated on the coffee table again, grabbing her injured leg and getting to work. Alcohol wipes, gloves, antibiotic ointment, gauze, bandages. He was no doctor by any means, but it would do until she was out of their hair. He tissed at the wound, inspecting it closely. Dang, I gave you some pretty new holes. You might want to get stitches later, but I ain't doing that because I am horrid at sewing. Ignoring her bewildered face, he got to playing doctor. As for the situation, if it's a whole act, you are doing very well at it. What? Ah? She spluttered and whimpered as he began wiping around and over the wound, wincing delicately. She tried tugging her leg away, but he had a very firm grasp on her ankle. You know, the whole looking pitiful. Injured. Not able to do first aid very well, he added quickly when he saw her begin to retort. It does add to the whole feeling bad for you thing. It's a good act. Very heart-tugging. She blinked twice. I am not a thespian. Theater has never interested me. And what would playing such an act grant me in this situation? Given whatever you are applying hurts like Ignis. Groaning, the tugging increased, but she only ended up hurting herself more. He shook his head. Hey, quit that! I mean you make us feel bad for you. We bring you back and we take care of you. You murder us when we aren't looking. With your weird, freaky shadow powers. Seems like a legit plan to me. Her eyes were as wide and confused as he had ever seen them. I... I suppose that is not a bad plan? Could have some merit if I was any sort of a good actor. Or could lie to either of you, since it is notoriously difficult to lie to shifters. She shrugged, utterly lost on the entire conversation. Besides, I will not kill either of you. Cannot, actually. He snorted, chortling as his hands lifted from the wound. Shrinking into herself slightly, the couch crinkled as she shifted her weight. It was only when she tried to put her leg down and away from him that his hand shot out again, keeping a firm grip on the appendage. Can't kill either of us. Really? Were we not all there just a few hours ago? Bench pressing both of us like sardines under a freaking rain gutter you yanked from that building with magic? His eyes glowed yellow as he stared into her eyes, as if challenging her to refute it. With each word, she cringed, eventually collapsing into the couch and cradling a broken hand to her chest. Yes. We were. Soft words, filled with bitter regret. I was not. I did not. I did not mean to. I forgot. It does not matter. Self-loathing filled her voice with an intensity that made Green look up from the kitchen again, meeting Cooper's eyes to see what was up. Ignorant to the moment between Cooper and Green, Winters closed her eyes and bowed her head. For whatever it is worth, I am sorry. The whisper fell from her lips like a breath, the tears that followed after heavy with grief. But for what, neither of the men knew. Both stared at her greasy, limp hair as it fell in straggly, blonde strands around her face. After staring for a long minute, Green quietly resumed his conversation. Cooper cleared his throat, finishing the wound cleaning and moving on to bandaging. Right. Okay. He really didn't know what to say. No one did. She didn't fight when he bandaged her leg firmly or when he moved on to her broken hand. Didn't even open her teary eyes when his long, crooked fingers gently lifted her chin and brushed her hair aside to take care of the scratches and the crusted blood decorating her porcelain skin. Cooper felt like everything that had happened in the last 24 hours was just so surreal. Like, somewhere someone was playing a game of chess and these three were unlikely pawns. But to die? Or to win the game? He had no idea. As for the game, he had no idea about that either. He was just a coyote. He could track, but he didn't have an eye for the machinations of the universe. But as he was staring at this broken girl in front of him, who couldn't be older than 18, he felt something shift. Not just for him, but for everyone. Almost like their future had just changed somehow. Or it could be his gut churning because he was starving. Honestly, he preferred to think it was that. And thinking of food, Cooper eyed the fridge with a stomach grumble. Can I trust you to stay put? Not go anywhere? No poofing or disappearing? I'm so glad I'm rereading this because I'm finding things that I'll explain in a minute that I have to change. She did not move, tears still dropping. You cannot trust me with anything. Cooper chewed on his bottom lip at the sour hatred in her dull voice. But yes. No poofing. No moving. I will stay put. The quiet whisper made his heartstrings twinge. So he did what any man would do. He got up and he went for the leftover pizza from a few nights ago, leaving the woman to her woes that he was definitely not certified to deal with. That woman needs psychiatric help. Or Aggie. Aggie could fix it. Aggie could fix anything. Oh, that's really funny. uh... okay, hang on. I gotta figure out where's a good spot. Oh, here. Here's a good spot. Okay. Well, not really good, but good enough for tonight. Okay. With Green finagling with technology and Dom speaking geek jargon about firewalls and bypassing security, Cooper was quiet as he focused on two things. Plating up the rest of the large meat lovers with pineapple into 3 different portions and swiveling his head to see if Winters was there every few seconds. Despite what she had said, he felt like he could trust her, at least with her word, which was absolutely absurd, given what had just happened not so long ago, but still. A shift. It was something he was not certain he liked or not. Or maybe I am just hungry. The microwave clunked and whirred, the engine loud against the otherwise still quiet of the apartment. Even with Green just 5 feet behind him talking intently into the speakerphone, Forrest emerald eyes trained on the glowing laptop screen situated at the kitchen bar, the apartment was silent. Was quiet, sorry. Like a thin veil of cotton blocking out the sights and sounds of the city outside of the tall, thin windows in the living room, but that strange feeling stayed inside the dark apartment, too. Cooper then realized they probably should have turned the lights on, at least for the courtesy of the strange woman who hadn't yet poofed from the couch, but they all 3 felt accustomed to the darkness. Him, a coyote. Green, a tiger. And Winters? He eyed her bent down head. She was whatever she was. Switching out the pizza plates and sliding Green's now warmed up meal beside him silently, he looked at the darkness in the apartment, imagining where shadows could pool and collect, what nooks and crannies he couldn't see, where they might strike from should they, she, choose. Logically, he should feel alarmed by the sheer number of positions he could pinpoint and the likely high number he couldn't, but he felt like she wouldn't do that. I must be really hungry. Scratching his scalp tiredly, he finished heating up the remaining plates, taking the time to take her 2 slices to her, putting them on the still messy coffee table. Eat up. Hope you're hungry. He waited a moment for her bowed head to move, for a word, for anything, but all he got was silent grief, or whatever emotion she was feeling. Again, he was no psych, so he just went over to eat by green, keeping an eye on her for the next several hours. The night wore on, and he checked on her less and less, more content to know she wasn't going to poof, because every time he looked, she was still there. And I know this is kind of a bad spot, but like this will buy me a little bit of time. Oh wait, hang on. Let's do this. Anyway, so why I was kind of laughing. Hang on, let me here. Let's do one of these. There. Okay. Um, so 2 things. Uh, Something that you should know about winters. Well, maybe should. Should is a strong word. But part of what I'm trying to do here, especially with Chicago, since this is a prequel to the first book, um, and it's set 3 years, essentially about 3 years before. Um, Winters does not speak contractions. She does not say doesn't, couldn't, shouldn't, wouldn't. Does not do that. She will say cannot. She does do an apostrophe S for possession, but the apostrophe S is the contractions of words. Nope. That is something that her people do not say. So I think it's cool. I like the little quirk. It's not something that is so readily noticed in our society, but over time it's something that's like, oh, that's a little strange, you know what I mean? So it's kind of one of those things that's meant to pop up. Maybe, maybe not. You kind of think about it. In the first book, it is pointed out because it is from her POV. Um, but that's for later. And also, I love, and I forgot that I said that Aggie can fix it. Aggie can fix anything. Because ultimately, the chapter that I am struggling with, but I did write like 5 paragraphs today, and I finally got done with a scene, so I can start a new scene. Finally got that done today. Um, but the chapter, so I'm like on chapter 14. Chapter 13 was Kieran's, but chapter 12 was Winter's, and um, she is kind of at this pivotal point and really on the struggle bus, and um, she actually meets Aggie, and Aggie doesn't know who she is, and she doesn't know who Aggie is. It's just an innocent encounter, and yet that woman did in fact fix things. She did in fact help Winters a lot, and it's a scene that I still absolutely love. It's like getting a nice warm hug in literature sense. So yeah, it's kind of funny that I would say that, and you know, the Aggie could fix anything. Like Cooper thinks that 3 years prior, and then 3 years later, thereabouts, basically like 2.5 years later, Aggie does indeed start to fix. Yes. Um, yeah, and all I'm gonna say, because it kind of made me think of this as I'm saying this, but the it. I mean, you could say winter, sure, but like I'm alluding to problems that I'm not going to say because this Chicago is from Cooper and Green's point of view for the most part. Um, but a lot of the problems for Winters, they were already there, but then they kind of were like shoved off to the side. But then the fight brought it all back up, and they will not be shoved to the side again. So she will be struggling with basically from the fight onward. And along with other trauma from before, like that is going to be compounding quite a bit for the next 2.5 years. But Aggie does indeed begin to fix it, and it's all over biscuits and gravy. And I love it, and it is a warm hug in literature form. I think I'm gonna have to reread that very soon. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna end this here. We will continue. I don't know if it's gonna be next week. I might want to get back to this next week and just keep reading because I'm enjoying it. But so I might do like a reading and then I might do a game. I might not. Like a reading next week, a game the week after. I am thinking the tenants next though. So yeah. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope we got a good amount of progress on the blanket. I don't know. That's a tomorrow problem for me. Um, but yeah, so thank you all so very much for watching and listening. I really appreciate anybody who tunes into these. And let me just put this out there. I haven't really voiced it at all, actually. For those who do make it here, if I were to ever publish Chicago, A Witch's Debt, and all of that, whether that's self-publishing or whatever, would y'all be interested? I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to say that, but I guess it's the question of like, hey, if I do this, would y'all be interested? Would y'all want that? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's weird. What is that on my keyboard? What the fudge? What is that? It's like I have a cut on my arrow key. What? It's like I got a scratch, but what scratched it? What the heck? And I have beagle glitter all in my keyboard. Oh my goodness. Anyways, but yeah, so I am gonna go. I hope y'all have a fantastic Sunday and a great week. So, yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see whoever I see next time. Bye!